Hello everyone, my name is Pat. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing you guys my highly anticipated 2022 releases. Now there will be a part 2 for this one. These are my most highly anticipated books. The second part are more books in my radar, books from authors that I've heard so many great things about that I'm also kind of looking into and seeing if I'm going to like them, or just books that have caught my intrigue, something like that. But these are the ones that I have been wanting to read from authors that I have read, from series that I have read, and this is going to be by date of publication. Some of these don't have dates of publication, but I will be including them, of course. So let's start first with the ones that have been announced but have no publication dates yet. I think this one from Schwab, the first book in the Threads of Power series. Now this is going to be set in the same world as the Shades of Magic series. It's a new trilogy. It's going to be featuring new leads, but the entire cast of the other characters from the Shades of Magic series are going to be included in here. I really enjoyed the Shades of Magic series, so I'm definitely looking forward to reading this new series that she has in this world. And of course I want to see our previous characters and see how they are, because I need to know, you know? Okay, so I think that's the only one that has no date. I think I have more books that don't have like a specific date on the part 2 that I'm going to be doing, so let's continue with this one. So the first one, this one is going to be released on January 4th. This is Where the Drowned Girls Go by McGuire. This is the 7th book in her Wayward Children series. I have read all of the books that have been out so far. I feel like I've had this book on my library holds for a year because it's been on their list of books that you can put on hold but are to order, and I feel like I've had this one for a year, or at least almost a year, because I remember seeing that it was coming out January. I thought it was gonna be coming out January this year. We're following a character named Cora, where she asks to be transferred to this school. So it's gonna be, I guess, set in our world still, but she discovers another door, which if you've read these books, you know that the doors don't open again usually for other people, or it takes a very long time. So I'm interested in reading this one. I'm very excited. I don't know why people rate books that I haven't read. Next one is Electric Idol by Katee Robert. Now this one I've already read. I did receive an ARC. Well, I won an ARC through that galley. This one is coming out on January 18, 2022. This is following Psyche and Eros, and I enjoyed it a lot. Very similar to the first book. Plot-wise, it was okay, but it's not like the best in terms of, you know, the stakes and all that stuff. It's very dark though. There's a lot of, you know, murders and killing and blood and assassination attempts, etc. It's really the relationship and the characters in this book that I really enjoyed. It's a very loose, it's not really a retelling, but more of like inspired kind of story rather than really just a retelling of, you know, Greek mythology. So I really enjoyed this one. If you're interested in this one, if you've read first book and enjoyed this, I think you will enjoy this one as well. And of course, the third book, Wicked Beauty, is also coming out, but this one is coming out on June 7, 2022. So this one is going to be following Achilles, Patroclus, and Helen. It's going to be a polyamorous relationship. So again, I'm super excited. I want to see where this is gonna go. And obviously we also met Helen in Electric Idol, and I'm very interested in her as well. So yeah, excited to read this one as well. The next one is This Woven Kingdom by Tahereh Mafi. I loved her Shatter Me series, although the second half of the Shatter Me series I wasn't a big fan of, but I am interested in rereading the entire Shatter Me series now that it's completed again. It's now a 6-book series from the original trilogy, and I have not read her middle grade series. I was interested in it years ago, but now I'm not so sure if it's something that I will enjoy, even though I feel like if I had read it like when it came out, or like around the time when I was younger, I feel like I would have enjoyed it, but I don't know. But I'm still very much interested in reading her work. And again, this is a new fantasy series for her, because so far, aside from her middle grade fantasy series, she's released 2 contemporary series, and her latest one is An Emotion of Great Delight. So not a fantasy, and I've been, you know, wanting to get back to her fantasy world, I guess. It's not in the same world, but this one is coming out February 1st, 2022. Now I know this is going to be, I think, the Illumicrate book for January, so, you know, I already know that I'm gonna get this for January, so definitely looking forward to this one. So it says, to all the word Eliza, I don't know how to say that name. Is a disposable servant, not the long-lost heir to an ancient Jinn kingdom forced to hide in plain sight. The crown prince Kamran has heard the prophecies foretelling the death of his king, but he could never have imagined that the servant girl with the strange eyes, the girl he can't put out of his mind, would one day soon uproot his kingdom and the world. Clashing empires, forbidden romance, and a long-forgotten queen destined to save her people. It's going to be a trilogy inspired by Persian mythology. And of course, I'm looking forward to it. So excited. I just know I'm going to love it. Or at least like really, really enjoy reading it and just reading her writing as well, because I really love Tahereh Mafi's writing. She has a very beautiful way of writing and beautiful prose. So yeah, the next one is The Red Palace by June Hur. This comes out on January 25th. I don't know why I put that first. Yeah, I think I put The Woven Kingdom first because I knew I was going to get it in January. So yeah, February 25th, Red Palace. Now, I have read June Hur's debut novel and her sophomore novel. I loved her first book, her debut novel, but her second novel was okay. But the same thing with her first and second novels, the same thing with both, is that they're very, very atmospheric, and it deals heavily with family, which I really enjoy the way she explores those relationships. And The Red Palace, another historical fiction. I think this is also murder mystery as well. So this is set in Joseon, Korea in 758. So it says there are few options available to illegitimate daughters in the capital city, but through hard work and study, 18-year-old Hyun has earned a position as a palace nurse. All she wants is to keep her head down, do a good job, and perhaps finally win her estranged father's approval. Hyun is suddenly thrust into the dark and dangerous world of court politics when someone murders 4 women in a single night, and the prime suspect is Hyun's closest friend and mentor. Determined to prove her beloved teacher's innocence, Hyun launches her own secret investigation. In her hunt for truth, she encounters Ojin, a young police inspector also searching for the killer. When evidence begins to point to the crown prince himself, Hyun and Ojin must work together to search the darkest corners of the palace to uncover the deadly secrets behind the bloodshed. Now, if you guys don't know, I love watching Korean dramas, and I love like contemporary ones, but I also have a deep love for historical Korean dramas, because historical Korean drama is like the genre that I was introduced to with Korean dramas in general. So I just have a soft spot for it. I have always loved Korean dramas. I always love court politics and being in the palace and the dangers of being in the palace, and obviously how different it is from that time then. So I'm very, very, very excited for this one, because even though historical fiction, even though it is historical, her first 2 books, it wasn't set near any or close to the palace, and this one's going to be set mainly inside the palace. So I'm very, very, very excited. Just gives me Korean drama historical vibes kind of thing, which I'm looking forward to. The next one is Homicide and Halo by Manansala. This is coming out in February 8th, 2022. Now, this one is the second book in her debut novel. As you know, I just read Arsenic and Double a few weeks ago, and I really, really enjoyed it. Although I do realize that the mystery aspect of it definitely took a step back from the main story. It focused more on building the community and the people around our protagonist for, I think, this entire series. We're still following her, but I think on this one, they were suspects in the first book, Lila and her family, but this time it's going to be her cousin / rival, Bernadette. It doesn't say really what happened, how she becomes the main suspect, but only that she was going to be the main suspect. So we met her in the first book, and I definitely felt that kind of, cousin / rival relationship between them. They're family, but they're also rivals, It's Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. This comes out on March 15th, and I actually have an arc of this one, and usually with arcs, I read them like a month before they come out. I'm definitely going to be reading this one. I have heard great things about this. I've only read one Nisha Sharma book, although I do know that she's released a lot of other works, but I've only read her YA one, which is the Radha and Jay's Recipe for Romance, which was so cute. I really, really enjoyed that one. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one, and I am interested in reading her other works, because I think Radha and Jay was her YA debut, and all of her other releases are adults. So I think this is kind of it's like a hate to love. There might be forced or fake dating, fake engagement in this one, which are tropes that I love. And yeah, this is gonna be her first book in a new series called If Shakespeare Was an Auntie. What? Okay. So, Dating Dr. Dill. Next one is The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. This one also comes out March 15th. And this one is from the author of The Sundown Motel, which I read also a few weeks ago, and I enjoyed so much. I unexpectedly enjoyed it a lot. Also kind of historical fiction, historical murder mystery type thing. Just like The Sundown Motel, this one is also going to be 2 timelines. So one is set in 1977 and one is set in 2017. This is going to be set in Oregon. So 1977 in Clear Lake, Oregon, there was this woman dubbed the Lady Killer Murderer, kills 2 men seemingly at random, with the same gun and with strange notes left behind. And in 2017, Shay Collins runs a true crime website, and she interviews the woman acquitted for these cold cases. It's similar, I guess, to what's going to be happening in what happened in Sundown Motel, where we're going to learn what really happened in the past, if this person really was the murderer, why she was taken in as a murderer, etc. So I'm looking forward because I really enjoyed her other book. So the next one is All My Rage by Sabaah Tahir. This is her new, I think, contemporary series. She's very well known for her A Number in the Ashes series, which I'm currently reading right now. Actually, the first book. I just started it. So this is her YA contemporary. It was described as a novel about family, forgiveness, love lost, and it's also about immigration, I think. I also have an arc of this one, which I'm so looking forward to, but again, I want to try to save this one for February, like the month before this comes out, but you know, we'll never know. So it takes place in Lahore, Pakistan, then, like in the past, and then Juniper, California now. So it says, in Lahore, Pakistan then, Misbah is a dreamer and storyteller, newly married to Tawfiq in an arranged match. After their young life is shaken by tragedy, they come to the United States and open the Clouds Rest Inn motel, hoping for a new start. Juniper, California now. Salahuddin and Noor are more than best friends, they are family. Growing up as outcasts in a small desert town of Juniper, California, they understand each other the way no one else does, until the fight, which destroys their bond with the swift fury of a star exploding. Now Sal scrambles to run the family motel as his mother, Misbah's health fails and his grieving father loses himself to alcoholism. Noor, meanwhile, walks a harrowing tightrope, working at her wrathful uncle's liquor store while hiding the fact that she's applying to college so she can escape him and Juniper forever. When Sal's attempt to save the motel spiral out of control, he and Noor must ask themselves what friendship is worth and what it takes to defeat the monsters in their past and the ones in their midst. So it's going to be young love, old regrets, forgiveness, tragic and poignant in its tender ferocity. I've seen people get emotional about this book already from the people who've read the arcs, and I'm looking forward to it. I have to finish her series first though. I have the entire month to do that, so great. Next one is Gallant by V. Schwab. This is coming out in March 1st as well. I actually applied for an arc of this one through NetGalley, but I wasn't approved. So, you know, I think this is another YA. Is it? YA? Fantasy? So it says, everything casts a shadow, even the world we live in. And as with every shadow, there's a place where it must touch. A seam where the shadow meets its source. Olivia Pryor has grown up in Maryland School for Girls, and all she has of her past is her mother's journal, which seems to unravel into madness. Then a letter invites Olivia to come home to Gallant. Yet when Olivia arrives, no one is expecting her, but Olivia is not about to leave the first place that feels like home. It doesn't matter if her cousin Matthew is hostile or if she sees half-formed ghouls hunting the hallways. Olivia knows that Gallant is hiding secrets, and she's determined to uncover them. When she crosses a ruined wall at just the right moment, Olivia finds herself in a place that is Gallant but not. The manor is crumbling, the ghouls are solid, and a mysterious figure rules over all. Now Olivia sees what has unraveled generations of her family and where her father may have come from. Olivia has always wanted to belong somewhere, but will she take her place as a Pryor, protecting our world against the master of the house, or will she take her place beside him? Also, this is going to be a standalone novel about life, death, and a young woman beckoned by both. I'm excited. So this is kind of like a hidden world, and she's supposed to be protecting, or their family is supposed to be protecting it, and she can see ghouls? I mean, it's V. Schwab. What did I expect? Okay, next one is The Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. This one comes out on April 19. I read her novel Station 11, which I love that book. I love that book so much. I did try reading The Glass Hotel. I don't know if it's because I was just not feeling it. I borrowed it from the library and I never really got a chance to re-borrow it. So I read like, I don't know, 20, 30 pages of it. I don't really remember anything about it, but I'm still interested to see what the novel is going to be about, but I've heard more mixed things about. But this one so far has gotten great ratings. I don't know if it actually means anything. This only has 270 pages. Okay. So it says, this is a novel of art, time, love, and plague that takes the reader from Vancouver Island in 1912 to a dark colony on the moon 300 years later, unfurling a story of humanity across centuries and space. Now, her Station 11 is also kind of dystopian fantasy, and it's not really dwelling on like the end of the world type thing, but more on the humanity and the story of humans, rather than, you know, the actual like what happened dystopian action type thing, which I I love. Okay, so it says Edwin St. Andrew is 18 years old when he crosses the Atlantic by steamship. Exiled from polite society following an ill-conceived diatribe dinner party, he enters the forest, spellbound by the beauty of the Canadian wilderness, and suddenly hears the notes of a violin echoing in an airship terminal, an experience that shocks him to his core. 2 centuries later, famous writer named Olive Llewellyn is on a book tour. She's traveling all over Earth, but her home is the Second Moon Colony, a place of white stones, spire towers, and artificial beauty. Within the context of Olive's best-selling pandemic novel lies a strange passage. A man plays his violin for change in the echoing corridor of an airship terminal as the trees of a forest rise around him. When Gaspard Jacques Roberts, a detective in a black-skied night city, is hired to investigate an anomaly in the North American wilderness, he uncovers a series of lives appended. The exiled son of an earl driven to madness, a writer trapped far from home as a pandemic ravages Earth, and a childhood friend from the night city who, like Gaspard himself, has glimpsed a chance to do something extraordinary that will disrupt the timeline of the universe. A virtual performance that is as human and tender as it is intellectually playful. Steve's Tranquility is a novel of time travel and metaphysics that precisely captures the reality of our current moment. A lot of things are happening, and it's only 270 pages, and I'm interested. I'm very, very intrigued. I feel like it's going to be very similar to Station 11, but like upped even more because now we have time travel and we have colonies on the moon, and I'm interested. I'm excited. I'm definitely looking forward. Alright, the next one is Forging Silver into Stars by Brigid Kemmerer. This one comes out in May 3. This one is set in the same world as her Cursebreaker series, but this is going to be following new characters and set in Still Shallow in the beginning. So yeah, excited to read this one. I've really enjoyed her Cursebreaker series, and I've always wanted to get back to that world more, like just expand a little bit, and I feel like it's a very interesting world that can definitely be expanded on, which I think we're gonna get is 400 pages long. Comes out May 3rd as well. Book of Night by Holly Black. This one is her adult debut, a modern dark fantasy of shadowy thieves and secret societies in the vein of Night House and the Night Circus. 2 books that I really love. Okay, so it says in Charlie Hall's world, shadows can be altered for entertainment and cosmetic preferences, but also to increase power and influence. You can alter someone's feelings and memories, but manipulating shadows has a cost, with the potential to take hours or days from your life. Your shadow holds all the parts of you that you want to keep hidden. A second self standing just to your left, walking behind you into lit rooms, and sometimes it has a life of its own. Charlie is a low-level con artist, working as a bartender while trying to distance herself from the powerful and dangerous underground world of shadow trading. She gets by doing odd jobs for her patrons and naive new money in her town at the edge of the Berkshires. But when a terrible figure from her past returns, Charlie's present life is thrown into chaos, and her future seems at best unclear, and at worst, non-existent. Determined to survive, Charlie throws herself into a maelstrom of secrets and murder, setting her against a cast of doppelgangers, mercurial billionaires, shadow thieves, and her own sister, all desperate to control the magic of the shadows. With sharp angles and prose and a sinister bent, Holly Black is a master of shadow and story stitching. Remember, while you read, light isn't playing tricks on the Book of Night. In the Book of Night, people are. I love it. I love dark fantasy with secret societies. Okay, see, I love it. Okay, next one. Another one that comes out on May 3rd. This is I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. I thought it was Sarah. I put this on my list as Sarah. And then when I pulled it up, I was like, oh, it's Shara. It's another YA romantic comedy. It says Chloe Green is close to winning. After her mom's moved from SoCal to Alabama for high school, she's spent the past 4 years dodging gossipy classmates in a puritanical administration at Willow Grove Christian Academy. Oh, Christian school. The thing that's kept her going, winning valedictorian. Her only rival, prom queen Shara Wheeler, the principal's perfect progeny. But a month before graduation, Shara kisses Chloe and vanishes. On a furious hunt for answers, Chloe discovers she's not the only one Shara kissed. There's also Smith, Shara's longtime quarterback sweetheart, and Rory, Shara's bad boy neighbor with a crush. The 3 have nothing in common except Shara and the annoyingly cryptic note she left behind, but together they must untangle Shara's trail of clues and find her. It'll be worth it if Chloe can drag Shara back before graduation to beat her fair and square. Thrown into an unlikely alliance, chasing a ghost through parties, break-ins, puzzles, and secrets revealed in monogram stationery, Chloe starts to suspect there might be more to this small town than she thought. Maybe, probably not, but maybe more to Shara too. Okay, I didn't know that we were going to get a mystery here. I thought it was going to be just rivalry between Shara and Chloe. Okay, interested, of course. Next one. This one comes out August 2nd. Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. She is the author of Fable, and I did read the first book, but I didn't continue with the second book. It's only a duology because I wasn't just not interested. But I want to try to see where this is gonna go, you know? Because it actually sounds interesting. A rural island community steeped in the mystical superstitions of its founder and haunted by an unsolved murder is upended by the return of the suspected killer in this deeply atmospheric novel. Emery Blackwood's life was forever changed on the eve of her high school graduation when the love of her life, August Salt, was accused of murdering her best friend Lily. Now she is doing what her teenage self swore she would never would, living a quiet existence among the community that fractured her world in two. She'd once longed to run away with August, eager to escape the misty remote shores of Saoirse Island and chase new dreams. Now she maintains her late mother's tea shop and cares for her ailing father. But just as the island, rooted in folklore and tradition, begins to show signs of strange happenings, August returns for the first time in 14 years and unearths the past that no one wants to remember. August Salt knows he is not welcome in Saoirse, not after the night that changed everything. As a fire raged on that Salt family orchard, Lily Morgan was found dead in the dark woods, shaking the bedrock of their tight-knit community and branding August as a murderer. When he returns to bury his mother's ashes, he must confront the people who turned their backs on him and face the one wound from the past that has never healed, Emery. But the town has more than one reason to want August gone, and the emergence of deep betrayals and hidden promises that span generations threatens to reveal the truth behind Lily's death once and for all. So this is not going to be fantasy, I think, or it might have like fantastical elements, but it's going to be mainly murder mystery set in this small town, very atmospheric. I love small towns with like secrets getting revealed, you know? I love those because they're usually very, very atmospheric and very, very fun to read. Okay, next one is Belladonna by Adalyn Gray. She is the author of All the Stars and Teeth, and I really loved All the Stars and Teeth. It's so good. Atmospheric, dark fantasy. I love the characters. I cried. I sobbed on the second book. I'm still heartbroken over that, by the way. Remembering it still makes me very emotional because it's so freaking unfair. Anyway, this one is first in a new series. I don't know if it's going to be a duology as well, but it's a new series. So it says, Orphan is a baby, 19-year-old Signa Pharaoh. It's YA, but the main character is 19. Okay. 19-year-old Signa Pharaoh has been raised by a string of guardians more interested in her wealth than her well-being, all of whom have died of mysterious circumstances. Her last remaining relatives are the Hawthorns, an eccentric family who live at the Thorn Grove, a manor as glittering as it is gloomy. Thorn Grove's patriarch Elijah mourns his slave wife Lillian through liquor and wild parties, while son Percy grapples to maintain the family's waning reputation, and daughter Blythe suffers from the same mysterious illness that killed her mother. But when Lillian's spirit confronts Signa and claims it was poison that killed her, not an illness, Signa realizes that Blythe will be next to die unless a murderer is found. Signa's best chance of uncovering the culprit and solving Lillian's murder is an alliance with Death himself, the very man she hates the most. And Death, that fascinating, dangerous shadow who has never been far from her side, shows her that their connection may be more powerful than she ever dared imagine. It's what? Well, I knew this was going to be very atmospheric based on the plot, but an alliance with Death, it's gothic infused. Of course, I'm looking forward to it. Of course. The next one is Sunbearer Trials by Aiden Thomas. This is going to be his new duology, and I just finished reading, you can see it, I just finished reading A Cemetery Boys a few weeks ago as well, and I loved it so much, and this one comes out September 6th, 2022. So it says, as each new decade begins, the sun's power must be replenished so that Sol can keep traveling along the sky and keep the evil obsidian gods at bay. 10 semi-dioceses between the ages of 13 and 18 are selected by Sol himself as the most worthy to compete in the Sunbearer Trials. The winner carries the light and life to all temples of Reina del Sol, but the loser has the greatest honor of all. They will be sacrificed to Sol, their body used to fuel the sunstones that will protect the people of Reina del Sol for the next 10 years. Theo, a 17-year-old Jade Semidios, and the trans son of Quetzal, goddess of birds, has never worried about the trials, or rather he's only worried for others. His best friend Nia, daughter of Tierra and god of earth, is one of the strongest heroes of their generation and is much too likely to be chosen this year. He also can't help but worry, reluctantly and under protest, for Aurelio, a powerful gold semi-dios, and Teo's friend turned rival, who is a shoo-in for the trials. Teo wouldn't mind taking Aurelio down a notch or two, but 1 in 10 chance of death is a bit too close for Teo's taste. But then, for the first time in century, Sol chooses a semi-dios who isn't a gold. In fact, he chooses 2. Sio, the 13-year-old child of Mala Suerte, god of bad luck, and Teo. Now they must compete in 5 mysterious trials against opponents who are both more powerful and better trained for fame, glory, and their own survival. Sounds fun. Sounds like it's going to be just like Cemetery Boys with a lot of hijinks, beautiful friendship, and maybe a very cute romance. So I'm looking forward to this one, of course. Next one is Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. This one comes out November 1st, 2022. This is the last book in the Last Hours trilogy. There hasn't been any information on this really, only that it will be coming out November 1st. That's an expected publication date. We don't know, okay? But I love the first 2 books, and I need I need to read this. I need to. I can't believe I have to wait a year and a half? No, more than a year and a half from when the last book came out. The second book came out. I think because the second book came out January last year, and this one is supposed to come out November next year. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it. So it's gonna be a long wait. We don't know, because the past few years have been going by really fast for everybody, to be completely honest. So okay, next one. A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. Of course, I'm looking forward to this one. I loved her We Hunt the Flame series. A duology comes out November 8, 2022. This novel follows a gang of outcasts in a deadly heist led by Arthi Casimir to save her tea room, which fronts an illegal blood house where local vampires can purchase fresh blood. And there's also Hafsa Faisal, so of course, I want to read it, And we're almost done, almost there. The last 2 books are part of a series much like Wicked Beauty and Electric Idol. We have Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies. I know Twisted Hate is set to come out January 27, 2022, and Twisted Lies is set to come out, I think, June somewhere 2022 as well, but they're both coming out in the same year. This is the 3rd and the 4th book in her Twisted series. I love her first 2 books, Twisted Games and Twisted Love. Twisted Love is the first book. And in Twisted Hate, we're going to be following the main character's brother in the first book and one of her friends. So in all of the 4 books, we are following the 4 group of friends. 4 girls in the friend group. So the first one is Ava, I think her name. I think I'm remembering that right, Ava. And her brother's best friend, who is a genius, grumpy, cold guy that, of course. So it's brother's best friend to lovers. And the other one is bodyguard, princess bodyguard, forbidden romance type thing. And this one is enemies to lovers or enemies to benefits romance between the brother of Ava and obviously one of her friends, which I actually really love that friend of hers, because she's just she's the most outgoing of them. And then this last one is going to be following their other group. I think this is going to be dealing with a stalker type thing, because it's going to be following her friend that has a massive following on Instagram. So I'm excited to read these books. So those are all the books for my top 2022 releases. I'm pretty sure I missed a few ones that I will be looking forward to, because I'm really bad at keeping a list of 2022 releases. Again, there is going to be a part 2 where I talk about the other books that are in my radar, but I'm not as I need it now type thing as these other books. So that is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your 2022 releases as well, and I will see you on my next one.